Afternoon, sir. I have here the problem number 1. Compute the sum of any two numbers using a special adder that can only add one at a time. So what I did is I did a step-by-step process. As you can see here, I have step 1. Take two random numbers and label them as n1 and n2. Step 2. Set the counter to 0. Step 3. Add 1 to n1 and add 1 to the counter. Step 4. Add 1 to n1 plus 1 and add 1 to counter plus 1. Step 5. Add 1 to n1 plus 1 and add 1 to counter plus 1 plus 1. Now, as you can see here in step 5, the reason why I did this and this, you can see there are only three number ones. Okay, so this is because my n2 is actually 3 and my n1 is 12. I took the numbers 12 and 3 and put them in a table, but we'll talk about it later. So let's continue. Step 6. After step 5, we stop. This is the time we stop because we have completed 3 number ones, and that's because my n2 is 3. Step 7, get the answer. Step 8, display the answer. And this is my table. So I put it has 5 columns, and column 1 n1, column 2 the plus sign, column 3 n2, and column 4 answer, and the column 5 is the counter. So what I did is, just like step 1, I took two random numbers and labeled them as n1 and n2, and that would be 12 and 3. So step 2, set the counter to 0, and you can see here my counter is 0. And step 3, add 1 to n1, which is what I did here, 12 plus 1, and add 1 to the counter. The counter is 0, and if we add 1 to 0, that would be 1. And the fourth step is add 1 to n1 plus 1, and n1 plus 1 is 13. So 13 plus 1 equals 14. And add 1 to counter plus 1. Counter plus 1 is 2. Okay, now the fifth, add 1 to n1 plus 1, and our n1 plus 1 plus 1, our n1 plus 1 plus 1 is 14. So we add 1 to that becomes 15, and we add 1 to counter plus 1 plus 1, which is 2. We add 1 to that would be 3. And we stopped at the number and the counter 3 because our n2 is 3, and that would be our basis on how many number ones we are going to add to our n1. And the result of our answer is 15. So my answer to 12 plus 3 is 15.